Salute family and welcome back to another video. This is Blacktruthunited. Today we're going to be covering the subject of the inevitable sabotage that will be coming to the B1 Rolodex. Some of you have commented recently about what do we do if they attack it, if they sabotage it? And rest assured that I've thought about this for a long time. I've been working on the B1 Rolodex for about a year now, so I already had some things in place, but I've recently ramped up my efforts. Now we know with foundational black Americans, anytime we have something productive going on, we have white supremacists, tethers, and all types of infiltrators attempting to attack, discredit, sabotage, and weaken the productive things that we work on. No other group has to deal with these kind of things. You have little Italys, Chinatowns, little Haitis, little Africas all over the US, and they do not sabotage them the way they sabotage us. So we just have to be ready for it. And I definitely want to share this video with you all in case one of you ends up having to carry on the baton of the B1 Rolodex. So we're going to be covering a range of different things today. While some of the people will be simple trolls, which can be ignored or blocked. Check out this troll video if you don't understand how to deal with a troll. We're not too concerned about trolls. Then you have other people who may stumble across the B1 Rolodex and may desire to hack it. And by the way, I never doubted that possibility. It doesn't matter how good your security, or rather cybersecurity is. There's always someone who's good enough to hack you. And to assume your website or your app is beyond hacking capabilities is pure foolishness. Software and even operating systems are constantly being combed through for vulnerabilities. And there have been many companies who have been extremely embarrassed with a lot more resources than I have. Target is the most infamous example, which is still studied to this day. A lot of people trusted in Target to keep their data safe. And Target, like many others, failed. And it should be no surprise, to be honest. All across the world you have attacks going on, cyber attacks. This is a real-time tracker of cyber attacks called Radware, and there are many like it. Now my computer is a little bit slow at recording, so you can't see how fast these dots are moving, but just know that there are attacks constantly. Hell, Google itself has been breached many times. The bigger you are, the more of a target you become. The NSA has been hacked. Now most people who manage to hack the NSA end up working for the NSA, but that's beyond the point. The point is very simple. Anyone can be hacked. And that was my mindset when beginning the B1 Rolodex. And this is why, while I do occasionally get suggestions for starting a website or an app, I'd rather stick with Google for now, given the fact that they have many more resources than what I have as far as securing the document. They also have pretty much 100% uptime, as well as features that make it easy to collaborate with others. So for now, yeah, we'll stick with Google Sheets, rather than branching off to our own website. Now others can grab the data and use it for their own website, that's perfectly fine. I've told you about that in various videos. But the core of the B1 Rolodex will be kept on Google Sheets. Now of course, when you use Google, and really any other platform, there are rules and regulations, and you might have people going to the B1 Rolodex and getting their friends to mass report the document. Hell, damn near any platform has a way for you to be reported, so I already assumed that this would be a possibility. Hell, we've had people in the new black media, or at least new black media adjacent, who've been completely shut down or at least temporarily suspended due to attacks from suspected white supremacists and their allies. So this was predictable from the beginning, using someone else's platform to host the data. Now here's the solution. Frequent backups and generating exact replicas through the make a copy feature. This is your protection against malware, and specifically ransomware, which for those who don't know is a type of malware that corrupts all your data, making it impossible to use unless you pay someone for the decryption key to revert all your data back to what it should be. Now when you simply have a backup of all that data, it essentially renders that attack useless, because all you have to do is revert back to your old version. And I actually had to do that recently with the B1 Rolodex. Some of you probably didn't even notice that for a time period, in the upper left hand corner, the B1 Rolodex read backup 1. And that's because when a situation arose, I simply made a copy and then changed the link in the link tree, so that people were redirected to the backup instead of the original document that was being sabotaged. This is the prep that's needed. Now let me get into the situation that occurred. So basically I was going through new businesses to add to the B1 Rolodex, which for those who don't know are found at the very bottom. And foolishly, instead of copying and pasting the link that I was testing in this section, I simply clicked on it and it was an insecure website. which my computer immediately caught. And whether or not this was intentional really doesn't matter, because the point is Google immediately threw up an error message in Google Sheets telling anyone who visited the B1 Rolodex that this document could be trying to steal your data through phishing. Mind you, I had gone through many websites up until this point that have been insecure and that I've had to delete. But only now, when the B1 Rolodex picked up some traction, did that error alert trigger. And unfortunately, I wasn't able to screenshot it while it was up. But while it was up, I put this message up for those who were visiting the B1 Rolodex. Error warning message. I just removed the suspicious link, family. It was all the way at the bottom in the unverified section. Due to this issue, until Google drops the error message, I created a document with a simple backup link here. And this is the backup link that I redirected people to. So just in case someone was clicking on a link directly to the B1 Rolodex and they saw the error message, they could then go to the secure document, which was the backup. Of course, like I mentioned before, I simply changed all of the links on my social media, at least my main social media, YouTube and X, as well as in the link tree, so that anyone clicking on the B1 Rolodex would go to the backup. Of course, I immediately requested a review from Google, and in less than 24 hours, in fact, I think in less than 12 hours, they removed that notice. And I simply changed everything back across social media, but especially that link tree. And that's really the place that I recommend all of you go to anyway, blacktruthunited.com. That will be the location of the link tree. Now, of course, this exposes a greater flaw to the B1 Rolodex, which is the fact that nearly any link in the B1 Rolodex could be targeted by an attacker, turned into a corrupt URL, and then the attacker could intentionally click on the website or get others to click on the website en masse in order for Google to produce another violation. Now, of course, if any of this happens, I'll simply hit request a review. Google will review the document, tell me which links are corrupt, and I'll replace those links as soon as I can. Again, on blacktruthunited.com, I'll probably produce a backup or something with a note just letting you know that the B1 Rolodex is being attacked. And then when Google gets back to me, I'll simply replace the link with a working version of the B1 Rolodex. So again, we have to think through these things and prepare for the inevitable sabotage. Now, some of the Karens or hackers themselves may be listening and they may say, okay, fine, we'll just attack the link tree. And if you all manage to mass report and get the link tree taken down, well, I'll just use one of the alternatives, and so on and so forth. Or make an alternative account using the same platform, who knows? But I'll simply redirect everyone who types in blacktruthunited.com, no spaces, nothing before, nothing after. I'll redirect everyone who's going to that domain to the link tree alternative. Now, if you manage to hack my domain account on GoDaddy or wherever the domain happens to be, then I'll just grab a new domain and direct my audience there. I'll also get those who are in the New Black Media who I know to let everyone know that the domain has changed. So this is the solution, blacktruthunited.com. Again, no spaces, no HTTP, whatever. Just go into that URL, blacktruthunited.com. It'll redirect you to my link tree or whatever alternative to link tree I have. And that first option will be the B1 Rolodex / anti-blacklist. Again, no other group has to deal with this kind of sabotage, but it's to be expected. And by the way, this goes for any other link, because when you're using someone else's platform, literally anything can be reported. So we'll just kind of have to roll with the punches. Again, name me one other group who's had to deal with so much sabotage when doing something productive here in the US. But anyway, let me cover another way that the attackers could use to sabotage the B1 Rolodex. And this could be by stuffing up the traffic in the B1 Rolodex. For those who don't know, here at the top, you're able to see the people who are using the B1 Rolodex, or at least the number of people who are using the B1 Rolodex, because everyone except for the contributors, including myself, will be listed as anonymous. Typically, they use an anonymous animal. But anyway, Google has limits as far as how many people can be on a document at a time. It hasn't been a problem so far. I think the highest number of people who were using the document at a time was like 30. But once you start getting into 100 plus, I think Google either stops or throttles the access to the document. Again, this is at a time. Most people check in, they find a product or service that they want, and then they leave. But an attacker who's intelligent enough knows that they could do a denial of service attack, or rather a distributed denial of service attack, which is when one person or a group of people use multiple computers. They could be virtual computers from a server or computers that were compromised in order to stuff up a website and make it nearly inaccessible to people who actually want to use the document for its intended purpose. But of course, I thought of an easy solution to that as well. Right here on blacktruthunited.com, I would simply create duplicates of the B1 Rolodex, listed as, for example, backup 1, backup 2. That way people who are actually trying to access it can do so. Now, while that's not a foolproof plan, it does eventually get on the nerves of an attacker because it takes time and resources, a lot of resources, in order to continue an attack. And most people don't have the patience to redirect all the attacks to multiple forums, etc., etc. So they'll likely give up on that endeavor. And there are other ways of combating this which I won't describe in this video because there are solutions that I like to keep tucked away. But just know we're prepared for the inevitable sabotage. Also, if they manage to hack my Google account or social media accounts, I've already started the process of creating multiple accounts. Multiple Google accounts, more than one X account, more than one YouTube account, which could easily be used in order to replace any account that goes down. And I'll, of course, let brothers and sisters know through the other accounts that I have that one form or another of sabotage is occurring. So if I were to summarize the strategy for the inevitable sabotage in one word, it would be redundancy. For those who don't know, the internet is built off of redundancy. The internet is not some imaginary cloud in the sky. It's hardwired to the earth, many times underground, but a lot of times across seas. Now, in vulnerable areas, on occasion, a critical internet cable will be taken out, which will prevent access to the internet for an entire country, or at least a region. But most developed countries have multiple cables running to and from their country, so in case one goes down, the others redirect the traffic to the end user. And that's essentially what we're doing here. It's small-scale redundancy. If one account goes down, the others make up the difference. If the B1 Rolodex gets attacked, a backup pops up in its place. If the URL goes down, another one will take its place. If a social media account goes down, another will stand up in its place. Now, if all else fails and the white supremacists and their allies determine that, hey, we can't beat this guy, let's either take him out or imprison him, which I don't know why so many people pretend like it's not a possibility for the white supremacist in this oppressive system to create a case out of thin air to hem you up. Hell, there are plenty of examples in the Bible in which people who were doing the right thing were imprisoned. Some of our greatest freedom fighters have been imprisoned on either false charges or BS charges, just meant to stop their progress. So if that happens, or if they manage to take me out physically, this is where I depend on you, yes you, to take the baton and run with it. There's a clear reason why I've made all this data accessible to you, to download, to make a complete replica, etc., etc. This was all in preparation for the inevitable sabotage. We've seen plenty of people in the new black media over the years get sabotaged. I won't name any names, but you can probably think of a handful of people who started certain websites and were immediately attacked by hackers and all types of nonsense. This is the reason why I created the B1 Rolodex the way that I did. We've got to anticipate the actions of our enemies before they occur. So with all that being said, please go to the description of this video, click on the B1 Rolodex, make a copy, hit download, get an Excel document, get whatever you need so that you're completely prepared to carry on the baton should something happen. But at least for now, the rallying point will be blacktruthunited.com. That's where to go in case any sabotage occurs. Now, with all that being said, I did want to shout out two contributors, Caitlin Jackson and Norman Robinson. Much appreciated. It does make a difference. So I'll leave you all with my classic saying, be one and be blessed, family. Peace.